Welcome to the On a Mission Mojo podcast, where I have the pleasure of interviewing impact-driven founders, entrepreneurs, authors, and business experts who are actively working to create a positive difference in our world. I'm your host, Lori Young, a branding specialist, certified master marketer, and a passionate advocate for brands that possess heart, soul, and an unwavering commitment to drive change for humanity. It takes grit, a visionary mindset, and an abundance of mojo to navigate this journey. And the stories I share will undoubtedly ignite your passion. If you're seeking an infusion of inspiration, motivation, and valuable insights to amplify your impact, let's dive right in. Welcome to episode 33 of On a Mission Mojo podcast. I'm very excited for today's guest, and I just want to talk a little bit about what we are going to be discussing today. So, as you're running your business, that there are days or even weeks where everything seems to be in an uproar, like things just aren't working. We're feeling frustrated. We're feeling stuck. And then there could be other days or weeks where things just magically transform and things seem to be much easier than before. And oftentimes we think this is about, maybe external factors, internal factors, whatever. What we're going to be talking about today is the universal laws that are at play all the time in our lives, and how that can affect us as individuals, as a collective, our businesses, all of these things. And I think knowing and understanding these universal laws can help us to stay more grounded and be in just a place of understanding and accepting when things are not maybe going the way that we want them to. So I would like to introduce our guest today. Her name is Jennifer Ally Kern, and she is a thought leader, master trainer, higher consciousness consultant, and a national award-winning author. She is a world traveler and polyglot, communicating in 4 languages. That's the first time I've heard that word, actually. Before starting her business, Intrinsic Soul Solutions, in 2009, she began her career as an addictions counselor at the Mayo Clinic. Jennifer currently works with mission-driven entrepreneurs, leaders, healers, and creatives to embody greatness in their professional and personal lives so they can have a bigger positive impact, make more money, and fully enjoy the journey with less stress and struggle, more ease and flow. 100% want that. And I think most people do. For more than 20 years, Jennifer has explored the power of the mind, practical spirituality, and the human ability to evolve. She has studied with top leaders in the industry and has not only mastered her craft, but Jennifer has truly lived the path of personal empowerment and evolution. Jennifer has a BBA in international business and a master's in psychology. She established her business, Intrinsic Solutions, in 2009 and is the founder of Thrive Fiesta Events. She is specialized as a certified Akashic Records Master, and she mentors her clients through her awakening journey and stepping into their authentic power. Originally from Minneapolis, Jennifer currently calls West Palm Beach, Florida, her home. When she's not busy enjoying her work, Jennifer loves Latin dancing, performing stand-up comedy. Wow, you are multi-talented. Orange Theory fitness, cooking, traveling, watching American football, and lounging about doing absolutely nothing. Welcome, Jennifer, to the show. I am so glad that you're here. I know today is going to be like an amazing conversation. But I always start because this is On a Mission Mojo. And so I always start by asking guests to share their mission in the world.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Lori. I'm so excited to be here. And so the question is, my mission in the world, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah, so my mission is really to, in the most simplistic way to say it, is to uplift the uplifters.
Got it.
So I work with entrepreneurs, leaders, healers.
Hmm.
So anyone having a healing impact, whether it's doctors and nurses, all the way to coaches, therapists, holistic healers, etc. And then I also work with creatives.
Okay.
And that's because these are the people who are part of the major paradigm shift and
Hmm.
shift human consciousness that we're in the midst of right now collectively.
Yes.
And a lot of times, what's happening energetically is very confusing
Hmm.
because a lot of the old rules of the way we used to operate in business and in life, they don't apply anymore.
Hmm.
And so my role is to help them make sense of things in a
Okay.
very linear fashion when all of this nonlinear, like seeming craziness is
Hmm.
happening so
Right.
that they can rise above all of that chaos and overwhelm and frustration and
Hmm.
really be on point and on path with what they're here to do in the world with
Right.
less stress and struggle, more ease and flow.
I love that. Like, I just feel like that's just music to my ears. Can I just like be your best friend and just talk with you all day long?
Yeah, we're here. We have this time and all
Exactly.
yours.
Okay. So tell me, like, how did you get here? Like, usually, there is a catalyst. There's something that happens in our lives that puts us on the path that we're on. Can you share just a little bit about your story?
I can. And it's funny because people ask me this question because what I do is so outside the box
Hmm.
of what really exists. And it's really been a culmination of things since I was a little girl. I am just
Really?
very much on path and on point with who I was born to be. And so when I was little, I was that child who was very sensitive,
Hmm.
very loving. I just thought that everybody should be together and love each other and sing songs. Like,
Okay.
that's like my ideal world as a child, and it hasn't changed much.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I was always very idealistic about things. I always saw the best in people.
Hmm.
But I also kind of always lived in another world. I had really vivid dreams at night that I still remember to this day
Wow.
as a child. And
Okay.
I was always sort of that imaginative kid, always sort of like off in daydreams, which got me into trouble sometimes. But now I realize what a gift it is and
Hmm.
how it actually serves. And I utilize that gift now with my clients. Um, and then I was also, of course, born into very tumultuous circumstances.
Okay.
So parents fighting, addictions in the
Mm.
household, mental illness,
Hmm.
personality disorder like narcissism, borderline
Right.
personality, that kind of thing. My parents got divorced when I was little.
Mm.
And
Okay.
then my mom got remarried. And then with that separation, my mom and stepdad moved me around a lot because
Okay.
they had the primary custody. So I went to 9 different schools in K
Oh,
through 12.
wow.
Yeah. So it was a lot of chaos. I was always the new kid in school.
Hmm.
And then when I was 16, I got kicked out of the house. So,
Okay.
yep, my dad lived in another city and I didn't want to move there to start another new school.
Okay.
So, he got custody but gave power of attorney to one of my friend's parents. And so I ended up finishing high school living with 2 different families.
Oh,
So just
wow.
a lot of chaos and heartbreak and disruption and that kind of thing, which all set a really strong foundation
Hmm.
for my abilities to connect with people. I had to
Hmm.
learn how to make friends quickly. I had to
Right.
learn to be really adaptable. I had to learn how to be really resilient and independent.
Sure. Hmm.
Although there are a lot of gifts that came from that upbringing. But somewhere along those lines, I decided I was interested in psychology. I think right
Okay.
around 13 years old, I knew I wanted to go
Okay.
that path. But when college rolled around, I had the opportunity to go study in Europe.
Fun.
Actually, an American school that has 7 campuses in Europe. So you could go to any of the different campuses, have
Okay.
this curriculum, study in English, but have the international experience.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. Thus, being a polyglot, because I
Right.
would go, I would just like absorb all the languages because I love talking to people. But because that's the school I wanted, they didn't offer psychology as a major.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll just study business because I just wanted to be at that school, which
Sure.
ended up ultimately being a great choice because I did get my bachelor's in international business.
Hmm.
And then after that, I said, well, I still want to do psychology. So I did my master's in
Okay.
psychology. So that gave me a really good foundation.
Hmm.
And then after that, I started getting interested in spirituality and coaching. I
Hmm.
was actually going to do a doctorate in psychology,
Okay.
and within the first week, I was bawling, crying because I hated it.
Mm.
And I was terrified because I thought, if I'm not going to do this, what
What
do I
am I
do?
going to do? Right.
Yeah. So I spoke with one of the professors and described I'm really interested in working with people to go from where they are to the next level. And he said, well, I think what you're talking about is coaching. I was like, well, what's that?
Right.
Well, yeah, this is back in like 2007, I think. And
Hmm.
it was still a pretty new field.
Yes. Yes.
So the long and the short of it is I found a coaching school. The first day I went to school, I came home and I started my business. That's it.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's 2009.
What
Yep.
school did you go to?
It was the Coaches Training Institute.
Okay, CTI. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I graduated from IPAC coaching.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, back in 2004. Had very similar situation as you. Is it was a therapist that I was seeing, and I was just kind of going through, problems and kind of figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do. And he was the one that said, you would make a really great life coach. And I was like, just like you, like,
Yeah.
life coach, what is
What's
that?
that? Yeah.
Right. And I remember like leaving his office and going to like research what life coaching was and just felt this overwhelming like connection to it.
Yeah.
And immediately, like, just like you, just immediately, enrolled in coaching school and got my certification, started a coaching practice. I don't do that today, but I did for 8 years. So I get it. Like, I understand your path.
Yeah, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. So I went down that path and then I wanted to know more I got into neuroscience, consciousness, and transformational coaching. And
Mm,
that really hooked me because I'm a child of the Mayo Clinic. My father worked at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota for his whole career. So I grew up with this very scientific
mm,
background. But
hmm.
anything spiritual was kind of like poo-pooed. And my
Right.
thing, if it was religious, it was okay because we had like a culture around religion. My
Okay.
father's side is Jewish, my mom's side is Christian. But if it went outside of sort of those parameters, it was like not legitimate.
Sure.
And so I had to kind of work through that. And part of my finding my way was discovering how do I create that combination or the understanding from a scientific perspective of what's happening on the spiritual side of things.
Mm,
And
mm.
so because that was part of my background, my interest was there. I just went full blown into anything, neuro linguistic programming, consciousness, neuroscience, all of those things. And then ultimately ended up doing Akashic Records work, which is one of the main things that I work with currently. And
Okay.
all of this is really built on a foundation of, excuse me, understanding universal laws,
Hmm.
understanding energy and consciousness,
Hmm.
looking at how it works with the brain and how the human body is built to be an intuitive mechanism. And
Wow.
then also going further out and understanding the quantum field and how things operate within the matrix or the unified field. So for me, being able to understand that from a conscious or from a cognitive perspective
Hmm. Hmm.
really like brings home all of the things that we call spiritual, but we could
Right.
talk about them equally scientifically.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love it. I love your story, and it's fascinating. Like, just the background that you have and the knowledge that you have. It's topics that are just very fascinating to me, and I'm not an expert in these topics, but when I hear people talking about them, it's always fascinating. I always watched I don't know if you ever saw the movie. It was way back, called What the Bleep Do We Know, or Do I Know?
On one of my first,
Yes,
what's one of
loved,
got me down
loved.
the rabbit hole.
Yes, loved that.
Yes.
And so if anyone who's listening has never, it's old. I don't even know what year that came out in, but if you have an opportunity to go back, I think it might be on YouTube.
Yeah, I think there's a version on YouTube. I think you can see it too on Gaia TV. I don't know what else. YouTube's
Okay.
probably the easiest access. You can just YouTube, what the bleep do we know?
And I'm
And I
sure that
think it's around like
there's
2000.
other things that have come out afterwards that are maybe even much more advanced than that, but that was a very fascinating like documentary to me that really started to help me understand the relationship between science and spirituality. But
Yes.
what we're talking about today is these universal laws that you spoke about. And let's just first start with, why is it important to understand these universal laws?
I think you spoke to it really beautifully when we opened up the conversation, that sometimes things are flowing really naturally and really easily and effortlessly
Mm-hmm.
in business and in life. And other times it's like the fit hits the shan, right? Like everything is just like a mind mess.
Right.
And you can't really tell, make sense of what's going on when you're looking strictly from your personal perspective. When
Mm-hmm.
you step outside of that and look through the lens of universal laws, for
Mm-hmm.
example, everything makes so much sense. And that can help bring you a sense of peace, be
Mm.
an acceptance, and
Yes.
that releases resistance, which then opens the flow back up again.
I
And
love
it's a
it.
way easier way to live. So much
Yes.
easier.
Yes,
More,
definitely.
yes.
So where do we start? Like, what is like the first universal law that we want to get into and talk about?
The first foundational law is the easiest one there is, the law of vibration.
Okay.
Everything moves, everything's vibrating.
Okay.
That's the first one. And I think everyone kind of connects to that and understands it. Um, the next one, the one that most people are familiar with, is the law of attraction,
Mm-hmm.
or which is like energies attract like energies. Another one that I think is important to understand is the law of perpetual transmutation.
Perpetual transmutation.
Yes.
Okay.
So it means energy is always coming into and going out of different expressions or different forms. The most simple way to think about it is to
Mm-hmm.
look at hydrogen and oxygen,
Okay.
water,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you put two hydrogens and an oxygen together, right, depending on the rate of vibration of the molecules, it's going to express itself differently.
Okay.
So the faster it goes, the more it's like a vapor or a mist or a cloud or even air.
Mm-hmm.
The slower the rate of vibration, then it becomes more dense and it liquefies into
Okay.
water, or it hardens into a solid, which is ice or snow or sleet, something like this.
Okay.
The exact same energy, still the two hydrogens and one oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
but depending on the rate of vibration.
That's interesting.
Did you just see balloons come up out of my
Yes, I did. I have no idea. I was like, okay, are we celebrating
I guess so. That's extra highlighting this point.
something? That was
Depending on the rate
hilarious.
of vibration, it expresses itself differently. And I always like to say it's the same thing with humans.
Okay.
The rate of vibration that you're in, you're going to, that energy expresses itself differently. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're in a higher vibration,
Right.
right, you're feeling good, you're joyful, you're in appreciation, you're in a state of love, happiness, openness. When
Mm-hmm.
you're in a low vibration, you're pessimistic, you're frustrated.
Right.
There's could be grief and sadness, depressiveness, anxiousness,
Mm-hmm.
feeling powerless, hopeless, any of these lower frequencies.
Sure.
So where we see that law of perpetual transmutation happening with water, it's always coming into and going out of form. You could take a glass of water and sit it on your counter, and the next day it's not going to be the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it
Right.
evaporated.
Sure.
Or if you're in a cold climate, it's going to,
Freeze.
in a cold space, it's going to freeze,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's going to be changing because the
Mm-hmm.
energy is moving. So for humans, the way that we can tell the kind of energy that we're in is based on how we feel. Our
Right.
emotions are the way that we translate vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a high vibrational state, you feel good. When you're in a low vibrational state, you feel bad. And then there's a whole range of what these are.
Right. And so Let's
Yes.
talk about this low vibrational versus this high vibrational. Are there things that we can do to affect these levels? Like if we wake up and we feel we're in a low vibrational state, maybe we're feeling anxious or we're feeling depressed or we're just not feeling very hopeful or whatever. How do we move from that vibrational state to a higher vibrational state where we're feeling more optimism and more love and more gratitude and whatever? What do you recommend for that?
So for that, I'm going to always say when you're in a low vibrational state, the first thing is always to follow what feels good. And follow
Okay.
what feels good in the sense of what feels correct to you in this moment. What do you feel is really going to serve you? If you wake up in the morning and you're all out of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the best thing is go back to bed. Other
Okay.
times, the best thing is get up and move your body, get up and get outside.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's get up and do some writing,
Okay.
right? Maybe you're hungry. You just need a little breakfast.
Right.
Perks you, right? It's a variety of things. Maybe a shower, right? Just to kind of shake it off. Because there's a lot happening at night too in our sleep state that we don't even
Mm.
know about. There's a lot
Right.
going on in subconscious spaces. So when you wake up, we're in different states from day to day. So what feels right to you now? And that's the same thing throughout the whole day. As soon as you start to feel like your energy's dropping, like you're going into a lower frequency, meaning you're starting to feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
that means you're getting out of alignment. And so what you want to do is get back into alignment before you're taking action on anything. You take care of your energy first
Okay.
because that's a precursor to everything that you're going to do.
Right. Okay. So let's take this back to the example of business, since we are talking business owners.
Yes.
Um, Maybe business owners are going through a particularly challenging time in their business, and they wake up and they feel like, I just want to like throw my business out the window. I don't feel like doing my business anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm burnt out. I'm ready to give up. What's happening there? And like, when you said go with what you're feeling, right? Does that mean, oh, okay, let me just throw my business out the window? I'm frustrated. I'm burnt out. So I'm, uh, just going to give up.
It doesn't necessarily mean giving up entirely, but it
Mm-hmm.
means you need rest.
Okay.
Your system, your intuitive system is telling you step away because now you're the problem.
Right.
Your energy is part of the problem in the business because your energy, you have your own consciousness and the business has its own consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
these two consciousnesses are trying to work together. And if you think of in any relationship, if you're married and you wake up and you're like, I can't handle this marriage anymore. I don't want to do this. Like I'm just burnt out, right? How does that serve the relationship? It doesn't.
It doesn't. No.
It creates more friction. So the best thing that you can do if you're going through a hard time in business, step away.
Okay.
You need more play time. You need more rest time. Your soul is calling for something else.
Got it.
Time to listen to that. And part of what will happen is once you start to get the upswing and you get relief and you let your business alone and just let it do its thing for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
you'll come back and the flow will start to open up again.
Got it.
But where people, I think, are conditioned towards the grind,
Yes. Yes.
there's a certain amount of grind that's useful. It's useful when it's compelling. It's useful when you're excited about it, when there's passion there.
Mm-hmm.
When things aren't working out and you're hitting the wall and you're feeling stuck, that is not the time to grind. That is the time to play.
To rest.
Rest. Go have fun. Take care of yourself. Get a massage. Plan a vacation. Just have like a complete like day where you just play hooky.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the movies.
Right.
Get in nature. Do something like completely separate
Yes.
because that's what you want to take care of your energy. Because when your energy is fractured and splintered,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be a healthy relationship.
Right.
You want to serve your business from your overflow.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And, you know, this is so, like you said, so contrary to what business experts out there, business coaches are teaching. They are teaching this hustle and grind, work hard, do X, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I know for me, like I'm in it like all the time. I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. So I see a lot of that. And I know like when my body like feels like, okay, I need to rest, but I'm battling with that guilt of like, oh my God, but I should be doing something for my business, but I don't feel like doing anything for my business. Like I don't want to today. I don't want to create content today. I don't want to engage with people on LinkedIn today. But oh my God, you have to, or there's no way you can build your brand, or oh my God, you have to do this. So there's this like, how do you resolve that? I think it's just getting used to it, just adopting a different way of living life.
It's a different way of living life. There's a really great quote, and I'm going to mess it up because I don't have it really committed to memory or in front of me. And it's something to the effect of when it comes to there's a battle between your heart and your head, which is what
Mm-hmm.
you're describing,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to decide, do you have a better heart or a better head?
Mm-hmm.
Listening to your heart, we know this. That's part of your intuitive system guiding you, right? And the brain, it's running programs and stories based on what it was taught. But your
Right.
heart is in the moment, your energy is in the moment, and the present moment is the only place that you have accurate information about what you need, the
Mm.
action to take, and where to go that's in your highest good. So if you're trying to push through and force the energy,
Sure.
that's a resistance state.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Trying, efforting, these are resistance states. And resistance creates confusion, it creates chaos, it creates overwhelm,
Mm-hmm.
it creates frustration. When you let go of resistance, you can just go with the flow. But most people don't want to let go of the resistance because they feel like they're losing control.
Yes.
And this is where it's so important to really work with your own energy, your own guidance system, be in a state of inner alignment, because then you're not doing it alone. You
Right.
have your own higher mind engaged
Mm-hmm.
that's partnering with you. And that higher mind has a perspective that's beyond what you can think of with your conscious mind.
Right. Right. Yes.
And this is where you'll start to see more universal laws come into play as well. This is a big one, law of attraction. If you're in a resistant state, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to attract more things that create more resistance. If you're in a state of allowing,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to attract things that help you along the flow.
Right.
Yeah.
I
So
like
that's why
this.
I always say energy first. One of the
Energy
first
first.
things the first thing I do with my clients every time, Lori, is I talk to them about get into alignment, and then if you're
Mm-hmm.
not in alignment, stop everything, go get into alignment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because what you're going to create from a misaligned state is not going to be in the highest good of yourself or anyone else involved. And I have them do an exercise where I
Okay.
have them write 250 things
Mm-hmm.
that bring joy, that are relaxing, that are fun or pleasurable for them.
Wow.
Yeah,
250.
250. Yes, because it's going to make them stretch to really pay attention in their daily living of where is my joy sourced? What
Mm-hmm.
does bring me calm and relaxation and a sense of peace? Because you want more of that in your life. That should be the majority of living.
Right. Right.
And then when you start to practice that, you do what I call you groom your vibration upward. Because everyone kind of has like a baseline vibrational set point where
Mm-hmm.
they're operating from.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more you want to get in the flow and be in a state of inner harmony and alignment, you want to raise that vibrational state.
And how do you, so when you talk about groom your energy vibration, like, is it taking things from this list of 250 and engaging in more of that in your life. And that's what kind of raises your energy, right?
That is one of the things. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. Certainly, I have a daily alignment practice that I have my clients do, and it's a series of things that's designed to help regulate your emotions, regulate your nervous system, creates greater neuroplasticity in the brain, so that your
Okay.
brain are able to make changes. Helps you raise your vibration and put you in a positive state
Mm-hmm.
um, more throughout the day, and also helps you with energy clearing, which
Okay.
is that like discharge the stress that you take on during the day, and even chaos coming from other people around you, dealing with unexpected things, all of that we accumulate
Right.
day,
Right.
it helps to discharge that as well. And they're
Yes.
very simple practices, anybody can do them.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about kind of three. It feels like it's kind of like all been so the energy, the law of vibration, right? The law of attraction, and then the law of repeat it again, please.
Perpetual transmutation.
Perpetual transmutation. Okay. So I feel like we've kind of talked through all of that. Is there any other universal laws that we need to be aware of?
Yeah. One that I really love is the laws of gender and gestation.
Gender and gestation. Okay. This is a new one
And
for
it's
me.
kind of what it sounds like, though. So, the law of gender says that for the creation of anything, you have to have a seed and a soil.
Okay.
Okay. So, if you think about in like the birth of a child or
Mm-hmm.
like any living creature, there has to be a seed and insemination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to have the environment,
Right.
like the egg, and then the environment um, that the
Seed can grow in.
is growing in.
Sure.
So when it comes to the things that we're creating in our lives, excuse me, and especially for entrepreneurs, um, the seed
Mm-hmm.
is an idea.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you have a vision, you have a quest, you have a mission that you're on,
Mm-hmm.
and the way you're holding it in your brain, like the thought of it, is the seed.
Okay. Okay.
The soil or the environment is your emotional field.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So if you think about, I mean, if you would literally want to grow a tomato plant,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
take the seeds and put it in the soil. If
Right.
you stuck that plant in the closet, poured
Right.
like, I don't know, liquid plumber on it, right? How well is it going to do?
Uh, Probably it's not going to grow at all.
Not at all, right?
Right.
If you put it in the sunlight and you give it water and you treat it appropriate for that particular plant,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's going to blossom and flourish.
Right.
And it's the same thing with any idea, any mission that you're nurturing
Mm-hmm.
through your business. So, you're the one holding the ideas, but
Mm-hmm.
then if you're holding them in a state of doubt, I can't
Sure.
do it, it's never going to happen, you're
Mm-hmm.
getting frustrated, right? That's the environment
Right.
that this seed is now in. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if you're hopeful,
Mm-hmm.
accepting, something goes great, yay, something goes not great, yay. You're in a state of acceptance about however things are unfolding and trusting
Mm-hmm.
that the way the path is going is somehow in your highest good and guiding you towards greater expression of what it is that you're here to do in the world. When you're in that state of gratitude, gratitude
Mm-hmm.
is very high frequency. That's why
Okay.
it's gratitude
Mm-hmm.
journal like that.
Right.
Appreciation is another animal. I actually find it more valuable than gratitude because it looks at the value in anything as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just looking at what's good about something. And being in a state of curiosity. Curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
fantastic energy,
Okay.
right? Because it's open.
Mm-hmm.
It's letting everything be what it is and saying, okay, if not this, then this. And then you try the next thing and see what happens. Like your whole business pathway gets to be a delightful experiment.
Yes. This reminds me, I just read a newsletter. Someone had reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, I'm starting a leadership newsletter. I would love it if you could, take a read and tell me what you think, right? Usually I'm kind of like, oh gosh, okay, I'll get to that, right? I don't have the time. But for whatever reason, I was just like, I was in a giving mood, and I'm like, let me just read what this guy has to say. Life changing. And one of the things that he talked about, he gave and I will totally botch it up, but he talked about a Chinese parable of how these different things happen to uh, the farmer, right? And things that were good. And someone would say, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's going to be good for you, right?" And his answer was always maybe.
Hmm.
And if something bad happened, "Oh my God, that's so unfortunate. That's what," and he's like, maybe.
Hmm.
And it was this mindset of not viewing things as good or bad, but using a mindset of maybe.
Hmm.
And that kind of reminds me of like what you said, this curiosity,
Hmm.
like maybe we don't know yet. We don't know if this is a good thing or if this is a bad thing. And do we even need to label it with the good or the bad? It is just what it is. And each thing can bring something new. And staying in that mindset of maybe, like today, I someone that I had submitted a proposal to for a website, it chose another marketing firm. And, I could say, "Oh my God, that's horrible. I just lost business." Maybe. Like, I don't know what would have been like to work with her.
Hmm.
Maybe she was not a good fit for me.
Hmm.
I don't know. And coming to it from a place of it was meant to be.
Hmm.
That is exactly what was supposed to happen. And accepting that, I think, puts us in a better space. I always find it more helpful to approach things from a more spiritual standpoint. And I just loved what this guy had to say. I just love the whole maybe energy. Like maybe, like you said, being curious of what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I have heard that parable. I
Hmm.
know which one you're talking about. Uh,
Okay.
it's an interesting one. It is one I would like to commit to memory because it's good. Um,
Hmm.
he does come at everything with an energy of neutrality.
Neutrality. Yes.
Yep,
Hmm.
that's really an energy of neutrality, which is, you can say this thing is good or you can say it's bad. We don't know.
Right. Hmm.
And so it's really putting the power back into you, the experiencer.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
one thing I'll say about that is as humans, we're always focused on outcomes.
Right.
If this, then that.
Hmm. Hmm.
From a spiritual perspective, the soul is here appreciating all of it because the whole soul is here for the totality of the experience,
Okay.
for the totality of all of the things that we can experience in a material world that you
Hmm.
can't have in the spiritual planes. Because you don't have a body, you don't have five senses,
Right.
you don't have the range of emotions.
Hmm.
So I like to think of emotions as being on a spectrum, just like light.
Okay.
We know that white light includes all the colors.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is the oneness, it is the totality.
Sure.
And that's why we are naturally drawn to light. All
Right.
living creatures are naturally drawn to light. Now, as you start to come away from the white light, we start to go through the different gradations of the light spectrum,
Sure. Hmm.
right? So you have your ultraviolet, and then you go through the rainbow colors, and you have infrared, and then ultimately you get further and further into the darkness
Hmm. Hmm.
because you're more separate from the source of light.
Right.
As humans, we're the same. When we're in a state of love, harmony, bliss, we're
Hmm.
in a state of union with the core of who we are, which is an
Right.
extension of the divine. It's our spiritual nature. Now, as we start to separate from that,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
go further and further into the dark, and that's where
Right.
these high frequency emotions, low frequency emotions. So the darkest dark is going to be energies like despair,
Mm-hmm.
dispiritedness,
Yes.
hopeless, powerless,
Sure.
worthless,
Right.
shame, guilt,
Hmm.
like all of this because we're more the most separate we can be from the truth of who we are, our essential nature.
Right.
So as humans, we're supposed to have a certain amount of that, because here's the law of rhythm, the contraction and expansion that allows us to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in life works on pulsing, contraction and expansion. The seasons go through death and rebirth,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right? Oceans, tides, ebbs and flow.
Mm-hmm.
Moon waxes and wanes,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
right? Everything is operating on rhythm. And as humans, we're supposed to have contraction in a way that we honor it, where if you have a loss, you should feel grief.
Sure. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sadness is important,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it deepens you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come out of it, you have more compassion,
Right. Right.
right? If somebody cuts you off in traffic, you should slam on your brakes. You should have a fear response,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? That's appropriate,
Right.
right? Because it's a protective nature. Same
Mm-hmm.
thing if somebody threatens a loved one. You want to get mad,
Right.
right? These are the ways that these lower frequencies serve. Now,
Mm-hmm.
what happens is as humans, we get stuck in our heads about it. Like we're
Right.
busy with arguments from 10 years ago. We have essential wounding that occurs
Right.
that if that is unhealed, we will continue to have experiences that draw that up in us so that we can address it lovingly. But a lot of what happens is we go into escape patterns. We blame, we deny things, we do things so that we don't have to face it. And then we get the distorted versions, which is aggression,
Mm-hmm.
depressiveness,
Right.
anxiousness, worthlessness,
Mm.
arrogance, these kinds of things.
Sure. Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that it's clear that the lower frequencies or negative emotions, it's just part of that whole light spectrum, and they're
Mm.
all important and they're all valuable.
And they're all here, I think, kind of to show us something, right?
Yeah, they're here so we grow. If you
Right.
don't have a contraction, you don't have an expansion. And for business owners, it happens a lot. When you've been building,
Mm-hmm.
and you're ready to jump to a next level, you
Mm-hmm.
have to have a big contraction in order to amass the energy that's going to propel you to that next level. So that's the point that we call a breakdown before the breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in a breakdown, it looks like nothing's working.
Right.
Nothing's working. All of the usual things that you do aren't clicking into place. You
Mm-hmm.
can't get out of a funk,
Mm-hmm.
right? You feel completely overwhelmed, totally lost. Why are you doing this anyway?
Right.
Right. And so, you put your heart and soul into it, and
Right.
now it seems like everything's crashing. But I celebrate those days and those moments because I know that that's that deep contraction that energetically must happen in
Mm.
order to propel me to the next level. And I see it with my clients all the time. So that's the way that we work with those energies and understanding emotions
Mm-hmm.
and how things are showing up in your life and in your business in a way that's there of service. And this is using the law of rhythm for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much. And
So
and we're already like almost at 45 minutes. So it's like I'm sure that there's so many other
more.
universal laws that we did not get to talk about. And I know that you had said you have a complete chapter in your book, like dedicated to this concept. Tell me just a little bit about the book.
Okay. The book is called The Drama Free Way.
Okay.
Authentic Thriving in a Chaotic World.
Okay.
So it's really about the way that we can get stuck in our own drama or we get pulled into drama in the world outside of us. And it's grounded in the 3 core human wounds that we all have
Mm-hmm.
that are
Which are
shame,
shame. Okay.
abandonment,
Mm-hmm.
and betrayal.
And betrayal.
And so when we experience these at a young age,
Mm-hmm.
it starts to define our belief systems
Okay.
about ourselves and about the world around us. And then that starts to build certain thought patterns that put us in resistant states and ultimately becomes addictive. Going back to what the bleep do we know?
Right. Okay.
There was a whole scene about how we get addicted to emotions. So that's sort of the foundation. And then the antidote is being in alignment, cultivating a life of inner alignment and understanding sort of the nonlinear ways that life is working for you, even when you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that's important with that is understanding universal laws. So there's a whole chapter in the book called The Universe is Built for You to Thrive.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So you have a copy of that book you can show us, right?
Oh,
And yeah, show us that just so people know the drama-free way. I am
yes.
definitely getting off this call and I am going to buy that book because this conversation has been very compelling to me, very helpful for me. And I hope it was helpful for everyone else that is listening. Very valuable stuff. And I know that we could go on for hours talking about this stuff, but we don't have time,
We don't
unfortunately.
have time. But one thing, Lori, is that what we can do is for your listeners,
Hmm.
we'll have a link where they can download for free the first 3 chapters of my book. So
Oh,
they can
okay.
get
Awesome.
into it, get a taste of it, see if it's something that resonates for them, if my style resonates for them.
Hmm.
And if they want to, my website will be there and they'll be welcome to reach out to me. And I'd be happy to do an autographed copy that I can send them if they
Oh,
like.
that would be awesome. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. So let's just kind of close out the show, just asking this question that I ask every single guest, and that is please share with us your mojo or your magic superpower that you have to offer this world.
Yeah. I think, well, there's the fun one. My aunt Vicky says that my superpower is long haul driving. I
Long
can,
haul driving.
I can cross the country in a couple days, like no problem. Um,
Wow. Okay.
but in terms of being of service to others, one of my superpowers is working in the Akashic field, which we didn't get a chance
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
dive into. But I am able to tap into, sort of other dimensions. And on behalf of my clients or whoever it is that I'm serving, I can kind of see what's happening in their business, in
Hmm.
their relationships, and pull information that's going to help them with their decision making, with resolving conflict, with having guidance towards the path that's going to best serve them.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's sort of an intuitive ability that I've cultivated and
Okay.
studied over the years, and so that's something that it's pretty magical, and I feel really really blessed that I'm able to do that.
That's what we're looking for is your magic. So thank you again, Jennifer, for being here. And I just appreciate all of your insight. I appreciate your energy. And I just appreciate what you're doing to create change in this world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lori, and love the podcast. So happy for you and the way that you're able to bring these conversations to serve people.
Awesome. That's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to the On a Mission Mojo podcast. Ready to dive into more incredible stories of people on a mission? Next week, I'll return with a fresh episode to ignite your passion for creating a better world. If you loved what you heard, be sure to subscribe, leave a glowing review, and spread the word to all your friends. Head over to onamissionbrands.com for more great episodes. Remember, the world needs your mojo, so go out there and let your brilliance shine.